in one of the latest mock drafts, the Chicago Bears move well away from a top 10 pick, but they get their guy at wide receiver. Should they do it? Let's talk about it, starting now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. And let me know what you would do with the Chicago Bears top 5 pick this season going into the draft. So, in one of the latest mock drafts that has come out from the Draft Network, James Eisner, I believe that's how you say his name, Eisner. I hope I'm saying that right, brother. Has proposed a trade that the Chicago Bears move well away from their top 2 pick, right? Like we know that the Bears are locked in for a top 5 pick at this point, but they move well away from their top 2 pick with this trade with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the name is intrigued, right? Everybody's thinking, oh man, Cincinnati. How'd Cincinnati get up in here? Why would Cincinnati want to trade with this pick? Well, here's the thing, right? And it's interesting. A lot of times when you have a lot of things that you already have in place, you want to go just get some top players just to make you even more dominant, so you have a little bit more draft capital to trade away, and you don't mind trading that draft capital away because you feel like you've got your team in place and you want to add young pieces that are going to be cornerstones of your team for a long time. So in this trade, the Chicago Bears trade away their number 2 overall pick. Now, in this scenario, the Bears still have the number 2 overall pick, right? There's still a chance that the Bears could get the number 1 overall pick. I dropped the video on that. Check that out as well, what they should do if they get the number 1 overall pick. But in this scenario, the Bears still have the number 2 overall pick. And what Cincinnati sends back is a 2023 first-round pick, their number 28 overall, their 2023 second-round pick, number 59 overall, their 2024 third-round pick, yet to be determined what they'll have with that. And hopefully, you know, they lose a lot and we get a high pick in that situation. And we receive T. Higgins. Now, the reason for that is that you're thinking the Bengals are thinking along the lines of, hey, we've got to give massive deals based on where these teams are, based on how these guys have played, to Jamar Chase and to Joe Burrow still, who hasn't gotten his deal yet. With that, that probably means T. Higgins isn't going to be able to get the deal that he's more than likely valued at. Not the deal, right? Like, not to say T. Higgins wouldn't be looking for a different deal. He wouldn't be looking for less, right? But the deal that he's more than likely valued at, right? And so there's that situation very much like A.J. Brown where you just look at it, you say, hey, we legitimately can't pay this guy. He can't cut. We love him. We would love to have him here. We understand what he's able to do. He's been durable. He's been out there. He's been ready to play. But we legitimately can't pay this guy. And I don't hate this trade, right? I think that with this, right, you give Justin Fields the weapon you're looking for. T. Higgins has been an excellent wide receiver over there. He's been the number 2 right now. He gets the opportunity to be the number 1 on this team. I think you add him into this lineup, and all of a sudden I'm looking at this Bears offensive unit, and I'm saying, oh, man, Darnell's your 2. Or Claypool's your 2, Darnell's your 3, one or the other, right? You feel a little bit better about maybe re-signing Darnell Mooney in that situation. Because you know that he's going to be a really good asset to this offense as well. Cole Kmet's taking a step, and I bring in T. Higgins. Wow. Now all of a sudden this unit with one trade has just gone from here to all the way up here. Justin Fields can't complain that he doesn't have any weapons anymore. Now, you move very far down with the number 28 pick overall, right? And I think that's the part that most people are going to find unpalatable about this trade, right? Essentially, you're telling me I'm drafting T. Higgins with my number 2 overall pick, and is T. Higgins worth a number 2 overall pick? That's really what the question comes down to. But at 28, right, yes, the Bears are moving out of their position where they would either draft Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. But I think the thing is, in this situation, how it's being broken down, and I haven't done a deep dive into a lot of these guys in the draft yet, so I can't say 100% whether this is accurate. So for you guys who already have, let me know in the chat below. Let me know in the comments below if you like what they're saying here. Basically how he breaks it down. He says the Bears move way down here, but did so knowing that the second group of edges aren't too far apart. If they decide to pass on Will Anderson Jr., Tyree Wilson, and Miles Murphy's of the world, the next tier of edges features some intriguing options. Nolan Smith is a physical player who can be productive against both the pass and run. Smith can play a significant role in your year one, but is someone Matt Eberflus can potentially develop into a game wrecker given his now talent. So you're going potential at that point, right? Number 28 overall pick in the draft. I think at that point, right, You've moved yourself out of drafting your offensive tackle, which is still fine, right? You've got a lot of money, and you can go out there and pay a tackle in the offseason, right? I think there's some good ones on the market that I'd like to go see. I've said Orlando Brown Jr. many a times. I think he's probably, even though he's had a little bit of a down year, I think he's probably the best player still on the market, and I think I would love to get him in here. But I'd love to see them go out there and be able to evaluate some veteran talent on the offensive line that you're able to bring in. You get a veteran wide receiver in this scenario, and you still got some room to play around with the picks that you get, and you get more picks moving forward. Because remember, you do still have to fix not only just this year, right? But there's going to be so many holes to fix coming up in the draft that it's impossible for the Bears to fix everything in one offseason. Now, listen, winning may mask a lot, but it's going to be impossible for the Bears to fix everything in one offseason. So I think that this is a deal that really intrigues me on the Bears side. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. Would you make this deal? Would you trade the second overall pick, knowing you're going to move down to 28th, right? Then the talent evaluation begins, which Ryan Poles hasn't been too bad at, right? Like that's where the talent evaluation begins for the young guys here. You gotta pick a little bit better, right? You don't have just the pick of the litter anymore. Would you make this deal? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Now, for the Bengals side, right, I think, because that's how I always think about trades. Why would the Bengals do this? Why would the Bengals want to make this deal? Why would the Bengals look to make this trade to go probably get Jalen Carter and or Will Anderson? Probably more Will Anderson Jr. than anything in that situation because, listen, they've got some wreckers on their defensive line as well, right? I mean, you're talking about a hypothetical of Anderson Jr., Sam Hubbard, and Trey Hendrickson. That is scary. That is scary. That is a defensive line right there, boys. That is a monster line. And so in this situation, right, I think the Bengals might do a deal like this. I'm not 100% certain, right, because you're giving up a lot of draft capital, and especially when you give big contracts, teams usually like to hold on to some of that draft capital. But again, right, you're getting a young player that's got a controllable contract that you can do a lot with. It's going to be around for a while. He can be a cornerstone of this team. By the time you have to pay him, right, new money will be around. Maybe Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase's deals, however they get done, right, work out in your favor in that situation. Like, there's a lot of options there. And you know you're going to lose possibly T. Higgins for nothing if he's not willing to take a team-friendly deal, right? So I think that's the one thing that intrigues you the most in this, and we're seeing this a lot around the NFL because you just know, right, the combination, you love that T. Higgins is there. You love that you have this guy in the building, but the combination of T. Higgins and Joe Burrow doesn't hit the same as the combination of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? So I think that that's the biggest thing where you're literally prioritizing what's the best relationship, who's going to be the biggest thing, who's going to be the next best duo out of these two, right? And then on top of that, you also have to take into account the fact that you also have Tyler Boyd on this team still. Tyler Boyd has been no slouch in his time in Cincinnati as well, so he's still got a little bit of controllable time. You can work with Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase as your 1-2 combo, right? Like, they've had a heck of a 1-2-3 and you're going to go down to a 1-2, and you still might want to go out there. They might be able to find another wide receiver in that third round of this season. There's a lot of options they can go to. Sign a couple of guys that you just bring in there on a show me deal, right? Just to have some hands in the building, but you've still got that 1-2 hit, that 1-2 punch already. So I think that this is a deal that I could see the Bengals doing, especially knowing that you're going to have some big money tied up in some of these contracts for some of these guys. And so you want to get young, controllable assets on both sides of the ball moving forward. They've already got their offensive line signed up, hemmed up. Hopefully that they're able to continue moving forward and progressing, because how this season started, it did not look good, right? So hopefully they're able to continue progressing in this situation as well. But I think for me, right, if I was on either side of this, I love the fact that we get T. Higgins. The only part that's kind of the holdup for me is that we drop down to 28. But you're getting a first-round caliber player in that. You're also getting the draft capital in that. You're also getting, you still get a couple of picks in this draft. You do get a second-round pick back as well, so you'd be back at 2 second-round picks. You'd have Baltimore, and you would have the Bengals pick here. I think just having multiple bites at the apple is always a good thing in any situation, right? Because you never know. And having those higher picks, right? Like, I know it sounds like, 59, that's not a great pick. It's still 59. It's still the second round, right? And we know where Ryan Poles has been able to find value in the second round, right? So if you're going to have another second round haul like you had this year, I don't think any of us would scoff at that, right? Now I will say, listen, George Pickens looked pretty good. George Pickens looked pretty good. If you draft George Pickens, you might not be in the situation. I'm just saying. I love Kyler Gordon as well. Kyler Gordon coming on, doing some great things out there. Love the game that he's played. But George Pickens looks pretty good. You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, no, I think I would do this deal in a heartbeat, honestly. The fact that you get T. Higgins back, you're getting a guy who, I mean, listen, is a monster and doesn't get the ball nearly as much. That's really what it comes down to, right? Another 1,000-yard season. He's averaging 14 yards per catch this season. He's got 7 touchdowns on the season as well. T. Higgins coming with some great hands. I mean, I think that this gets you your number one. This answers a lot of your questions offensively as well. I think that it still sets you up to make some nice additions to this team. I think it might slow down the development of your defense, right? Like, I think that's the one thing that you were talking about. But here's the question. Do you want to go? I asked this last season. Going into the draft, I asked this during the season when we were talking about trading Roquan Smith. Are you willing to trade some defense for some offense? And I think the question comes down to, right, do you think that you can get some talent in here that Allen Williams legitimately can work with? Now, I think you do still have to go edge rusher, right? If you get dropped down to 28 and you feel like there's some dominant edge rushers down there, or somebody in the middle, right? We still need that dominant. We still need that dominant nose tackle. Like, that's the basis of this 4-3 defense. You need that dominant nose tackle. So you got to find that guy that's going to be able to cause havoc on that defensive line. I think if we're able to find that in the draft at 28, that'd be great, right? But if you're also able to find that maybe in a little bit of free agency, I don't know. I haven't looked at the defensive side of the ball yet on kind of the guys that are going to be out there wreaking havoc in free agency this year. But the thing with that is you have that inverse relationship, right? Where, listen, do you feel good about Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, Eddie Jackson, that combination of 4 guys put together, right? If you do, you need the pressure up front to make their game be accentuated so that they can play better, so that they can get to that next tier, so that they can get to that next level. I think that could be a situation here where you're like, okay, we can go out there and we can get somebody that can consistently cause pressure while also getting our wide receiver that's going to be the combination with Justin Fields. I live with that situation 9 times out of 10. I wouldn't be mad at that situation. I would look at that and say, even if you feel like something in there didn't pan out on the draft pick side, which hopefully Ryan Poles makes a solid selection, but even if you feel like that, right, at least you know we've got this guy in T. Higgins. We've got a proven veteran that's already able to do the job. So, hey, I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Would you make this trade? Again, the trade is the Chicago Bears would receive T. Higgins, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2023 second-round pick, 28 and 59 overall, a 2024 third-round pick, adding to your draft capital next season. And Cincinnati would receive the second pick in the draft overall. Would you make that pick? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.